Hello. What's up, guys? So when I first started this channel, I never thought that I would be talking about my personal medical information online. I'd always expected to keep that part of my life private, but fast forward to now and that hasn't happened. I've made a ton of videos on my ADHD and I'm glad I did because there's been so much encouragement and comments that have just allowed me to, I guess, go a little bit more public with some of the issues I'm facing because there's so much fakeness on the internet and there's not enough stories talking about genuine issues that so many of us face. And I just don't have anything to hide anymore, and I don't think anyone should feel embarrassed for taking medicine that helps them not be sick. Antidepressants have just changed my life in so many ways, and I just want to share that story with you guys today. And if you're also struggling with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, things like that, or you're just curious about what it's like to be on antidepressants, then hopefully this video will give you a ton of value because I'm basically one giant pill these days. All right, so let's just start at the beginning. So for the majority of my life, I navigated depression without seeking any form of treatment. I just refused to believe that I had a mental health condition and that there was just something wrong with me. And I never really trusted Big Pharma, to be completely honest, and I just always had this negative stigma associated with antidepressants. I was also afraid of the possibility that taking medication could some way turn me into just, I don't know, someone else. It's hard to explain, but you're just not who you used to be, and I just didn't even want to take that risk. I didn't want to be labeled as someone who needed to rely on a pill just get through the day, and I didn't want to be addicted to something and have to rely on having to take something for the rest of my life. So I went through my 20s just toughing it out, convincing myself that depression would just go away on its own if I tried hard enough. And honestly, I did a pretty good job at it. I focused heavily on things that I could control, like exercising regularly and eating clean and prioritizing my sleep. And don't get me wrong, these are all healthy habits that did work and that I still prioritize today and did help a ton. But as I got later into my 20s, my mental health just continued to spiral downwards despite all those best efforts. It was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a sandcastle, and it just wasn't going to happen. And by the time I turned 31, my mental health was just undeniably at an all-time low. And there was a series of weeks when the pandemic happened where employment was rocky and I was broke, my car didn't work, family and friends just were getting sick around me, and I was having panic attacks all throughout the night. And there was a series where I didn't sleep for 6 or 7 days and it was getting really bad. I would start to drink right after work and I would hide alcohol from loved ones, and I just kind of just gave up at that point. My family was just begging me to seek medical treatment at that point, but I was just being so defiant because, to be honest, I just didn't want to live anymore. And I just remembered this overwhelming sense of fear and shame when I finally did decide to reach out for help. Like somehow by admitting that I needed medical attention, that I was just admitting defeat. But I truly felt that if I didn't do this, that I would not make it to 32 years old. And looking back, that is just so terrifying to think about. So I finally got an authorization to see a psychiatrist, and he explained to me that just after years of trauma, that my brain was just being depleted of serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that just regulates your mood. I was essentially trying to drive a car with an empty gas tank, and no matter how hard I pushed, it just was going nowhere fast. And the diagnosis was conclusive. I had depression and I had GAD, which is general anxiety disorder. And then later on, I would be tested for ADHD, which I had that as well. So at that point, I just listened to whatever the doctors told me to do, and they recommended a combination of medication and therapy. And you guys can let me know in the comments if it's the same for you, but at least where I live in Southern California, the waitlist to see a therapist is like 300 million years. So I just went with the medication. And so my doctor recommended Sertraline, which is the generic version of Zoloft. And we started slow with just 25 milligrams and then bumped that up to 50 within a matter of weeks. And then by 2 months later, I was taking 100 milligrams of Zoloft every single day. And let me tell you, when I first started taking this medication, I almost quit. 3 days in, I was almost out. It almost did not work. The initial side effects were insane. It felt like things just were getting worse, not better. I had nausea, dizziness, hard time falling asleep. I was going to the bathroom way too frequently. It's just hard to put into words just how intense it was. I remember journaling my experience when I first started just to see how my mood was shifting on a day-to-day basis and whether I thought that it was actually making some sort of an impact. And I would go on the Zoloft subreddit and I would just read tons of submissions about how people's experiences have been and people that were just going through the exact same thing as I did, and then reading those comments from people that got on the other side and just reassured them that it works. He's got to continue to keep going and get past that initial phase. And after about a month or so, I started to see more subtle differences and things started to level out, and then I eventually had no more side effects at all. And looking back, as rough as those initial days were, I'm so glad I stuck with it because I literally almost quit on day 3. Once Zoloft started working for me, I became someone that was just so weighed down by medical health issues to just someone that I just do not recognize anymore, but in the best possible way. I wake up now feeling hopeful and just excited about the day ahead. I'm happy. I'm like genuinely happy, and that's just something that I just never thought I would say. My confidence has skyrocketed, and I just no longer doubt myself at every given turn. I feel ambitious and driven to pursue my dreams. My productivity is now at an all-time high, and tasks that were just once insurmountable are now just easy and even enjoyable. I can focus and stay organized and be able to just get things done without this constant cloud of anxiety just hanging over me. And also credit Zoloft in playing a crucial role in helping me start this YouTube channel. Before, I just lacked the confidence and the self-belief that I was actually good enough to turn on the camera and talk to people on the internet and people would actually listen to me. The mere thought of recording myself and sharing my thoughts and being vulnerable for anyone to see online just was terrifying to me. I just didn't have that self-belief, and I never got started earlier because of that. And it's just so surreal now that I'm just so comfortable turning on the camera and doing this. And yeah, I wish I had done this 10 years ago, because who knows where I would be now, but I'm just so glad I got to it. And of course, I still have anxiety from time to time. I'm human, I still have emotions, and I still am the same person, but Zoloft just helped me just understand and get through things just a lot easier. And the same goes for my social anxiety. I still am a shy, nervous person when first being introduced to a person or a group of people, but I'm able to open up a lot quicker and feel a lot more comfortable. It's like I've been given the tools to just handle my anxiety better instead of just being controlled by it. And as far as the cons, the only one I've really experienced is weight gain. I noticed that since taking Zoloft, I put on about 15 pounds, which isn't great for the camera, but honestly, it hasn't been that bad. Initially, I was a bit disheartened because I'm so just very critical about my appearance and being in the gym a lot and just making sure that I'm always trying to put on muscle and burn fat. And once I started taking Zoloft, it was a bit harder to maintain that. But fortunately, I love exercise, so I just prioritize that a little bit more than I used to, and I've been able to manage that weight and bring it down. But honestly, despite that extra weight, I feel like my overall appearance hasn't changed all that much. In fact, some people might think that that extra weight gain has been redistributed into pretty flattering places, if I don't say so myself. So in a way, maybe it's even been a blessing in disguise. But the benefits of Zoloft to my mental health just far exceeds that drawback of weight gain. If you're considering going on Zoloft or any other type of antidepressants or SSRIs and you're feeling scared, just honestly, don't be. I know the idea of taking medication, especially antidepressants, can be daunting, but if it can provide you the ability to have relief and be able to manage your day-to-day life a lot better, then it's worth it. And although my experience with Zoloft has been incredibly positive, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. I'm not a doctor. This is one person's experience with this medication, and it's not a magic bullet. It's not a magic one-stop shop to all of life's problems. I recognize that there's other additional steps that I have to take alongside medication to get myself completely to a point where I am 100% happy with my life. But this has given me the stability and clarity to actually make those future steps possible. And outside of medication, there's other effective treatments such as therapy, which I talked about earlier. And although there's a huge wait list on my end, I certainly think that it's something that I'm going to explore when it becomes available. Again, everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own experience. This is my experience, and luckily it was a very positive one. Please let me know in the comments if this video helped you, if you had taken Zoloft before and what your experience was, or if you're considering it and you have further questions that maybe I can help you answer. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to me. Like I said, I just surpassed 100 YouTube videos. I'm really excited about that. If you have not checked those out, please do. Please like, share, subscribe. Help me grow. I'm committed to making more content every single week, and I hope that you'll continue to stay tuned in. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Later! Dirty Pop. I don't know, I'm in my NSYNC era again, I guess.